He will also visit the local temple, reporting to the Hindu gods that he is a disciple of Jigong Living Buddha and asking for the help from Hindu gods to invite more Indian people to receive Tao. Just as we study the Bible, we can find some testimony to Tao. When we start to learn more about Hinduism and Indian culture, we will also find very profound meaning and concept that is related to Tao. I'm sure after Lecture Shi explains to us this topic of Hindu gods and Tao cultivation, you will also find it interesting and informative. Next time, when you meet an Indian friend, it may serve as an ice-breaking topic, and very possible that you will be successful to invite him to come to the temple and receive Tao. Now, with a joyful heart, let's welcome Lecturer Shi to share with us this topic, Hindu gods and Tao cultivation. Welcome, Lecturer Shi.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Monica Lecturer Chen, for your wonderful introduction. Well, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude for the grace of heaven, the virtues of our holy teachers, to our grand senior elder, Bai Shui Shengdi, our senior elder, Fu Xiuxi Pusa. Also, thank you to masters, all the lectures, and all of you that make it possible for me to give this lecture. I feel very much obliged. For this lecture, the topic I'm going to share with you, the Hindu gods and Tao cultivation. As Lecturer Chen already mentioned, yeah, many of you know that I've been to India so far for almost 50 times. In order to make them understand Tao, I must command at least a basic understanding of Indian culture in the first place. So I start to make some research of the Hindu gods. They call them Pakwang. And of course, there are many different festivals. Hopefully, these gods and goddesses can help me with the propagation of Tao in India. And I feel they really do. Today, with this wonderful opportunity, I'd like to share with you two Hindu god and goddess. Let's see how their stories can be associated with our Tao cultivation and how the knowledge can also strengthen our faith and improve our understanding of Tao. I found that the truth is really universal and it's really interesting and inspiring too. So now, let's start. Well, before we talk about Hindu gods and goddesses, we must understand Trimurti. So what is Trimurti? And before we talk about Trimurti, we have to understand Brahman. So what does Brahman mean? Brahman is the supreme spirit or universal truth. It is also known as the ultimate reality. It is the divine one or God. In Hindu scripture and tradition, there is no image of Brahman. Instead, there are thousands of gods and goddesses, so-called Pakwang. All of them are manifesting Brahman. There are different aspects of Brahman. So we can say Brahman is eternal and everywhere at once. It transcends time and space, and it is greater than any human beings can understand. It is in every single particle of everything, even in each and every one of us. So we can say everything is Brahman, and Brahman is everything. The whole universe is Brahman. According to Katha Upanishad, well, Katha Upanishad is an important ancient Sanskrit scripture, 梵文, all right, 他们的经典. It says, Brahman is the one present everywhere, and is the great one who is above all. Don't you feel it is like the Tao as we have been learning from our temple? According to the Tao Te Ching, chapter 25, there was something undefined and complete, 有物混成, coming into existence before heaven and earth, 先天地生, still, formless, unique, and changeless, 极兮寥兮, 独立而不改, reaching everywhere and in no danger of being exhausted, 周行而不殆. It is the mother of all things, 可以为天下母. I do not know its name, and I give it the name, Tao. 我不知其名，自之曰道. Right? And also in 清净经, Lao Tzu also said, yeah, the scripture of purity and tranquility. He also said, the great Tao does not take any physical presence. It produced and nourishes heaven and earth. 大大无形，生育天地. The great Tao does not have any thoughts. It causes the sun and the moon to revolve as they do. 大大无情，运行日月. The great Tao does not expect any rewards. It effects the growth and maintenance of all things. 大大无名，长养万物. I do not know his name, but I make an effort and call it the Tao. 我不知其名，强名曰道. I'm sure you are very familiar with this passage, right? So here, Lao Tzu said, Tao created the universe. It nourishes everything and causes all things to develop and grow. According to Zhuangzi, he's also a great Tao sage, right? Tao is in everything. Everything is in Tao. So Tao is in the sky. So all the stars and planets keep in their orbits without crashing into each other. Tao is on earth. So all the seasons change regularly and everything grows. Tao is in our family. So we can feel peace and security at home. Tao is in every individual. It is our soul, our Atma. So we can eat, we can think, we can do whatever we want. So Tao is everywhere. It is in all things, just like Brahman. It takes no physical form, but it is everywhere and in all things, in every one of us. But is Brahman male or female? Or we can say, is God male or female? As Brahman takes no physical presence, of course, it is neither male nor female. But if it has no form, how can people understand it? So humans are very creative. We create the physical forms to make people understand God, then catering to different cultures, different forms were created. So you can see different appearances of God in different cultures. In our thinking, God take the female form because of the feminine energy symbolizes the power of creativity and fertility. So it becomes easier to understand, right? Just like our Lao Mu, Heavenly Mother. Well, Mother is the ancient word for mother, who gave birth to our souls and also everything in the universe. Well, Christians like to use Heavenly Father, right, to emphasize the masculine authority. But we have to keep in mind that there is only one God. God is one. The truth is one. It is only the different cultures that make it different. Take a look at our Buddha table. In the middle, we have the Mu Deng, right, which is the middle light that represents our Lao Mu, our Heavenly Mother. Don't you think it's like Brahman as understood as Hindu scriptures and tradition? So God is one. However, since we know God is one, the truth is one, then why do we have so many gods and Buddhas and sages, and why do we worship them? Well, Indian people have different interpretation. They are Bhagwan, the personal gods. So Hindus also use the word Bhagwan to describe the one God. So we can say Bhagwan are manifested or shown as a personal God. So all of them are manifesting Brahman. There are only different aspects of Brahman. So all the gods, Buddhas, saints, and sages are also the same in this sense. Let me take an example. If Brahman is like the sun, then Bhagwans, together with all the gods, Buddhas, saints, and sages, are like the sunlight we can see and feel on earth. In other words, we can say Brahman is like the sun, but it is millions of miles away. It is too bright to look at and impossible to approach. But in contrast, Bhagwans, gods, Buddhas, saints, sages are like the sunlight, the sunshine that everyone, you and me, can experience and understand. They are good role models we can emulate. According to Tao Te Ching, again, chapter 25, Tao is great, heaven is great, Tao Da, Tian Da. Earth is great, and the sage king is also great. Yi Da, Wang Yi Da. In the universe, there are four that are great, and the sage king is one of them. 狱中有四大，而王居其一焉。Humans take the law from the earth, 人法地。The earth take its law from heaven, 地法天。Heaven take its law from the Tao, 天法道。And the law of the Tao is being what it is, 大法自然。We are humans, emulating all the good role models, trying to become a sage king, right? So step by step, we can be united with the earth, the heaven, and the Tao. And in the end, we'll become one with God. Okay, so now let's come back to Trimurti. What I stated in Hindu scriptures and tradition, Brahman is represented in three forms, each corresponding to one cosmic functions. Number one, Brahma, the creator, symbolizing the earth. Number two, Vishnu, the preserver, symbolizing the water. And number three, Shiva, the destroyer, symbolizing the fire. So Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are the Hindu trinity, also called Trimurti. So here I want you to pay special attention to Brahman and Brahma. Brahman, with an N at the end, refers to the ultimate reality, the supreme being. But Brahma, without the N at the end, refers to the creator God. So according to the ancient scriptures, the three gods symbolize earth, water, and fire. So Brahma represents earth. He is the creator. And Vishnu represents water. He's the preserver. And Shiva represents fire. He's the destroyer. But he will only destroy the universe in order to recreate it. So the cosmic functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction are personified as these three gods. Here at the moment, the first god I want to share with you is Lord Shiva. As I mentioned earlier, Shiva is responsible for the destruction, but this destruction is not arbitrary. Instead, it is actually very productive and very constructive. Okay, it's like we have to destroy our ignorance in order to enhance our wisdom. We cannot build good habits while keeping the bad ones, right? So we have to break our bad habits in order to build good ones. We have to reset our mindset in order to start afresh, conquer evils in order to cultivate our virtues. So we can see Lord Shiva is also a God of mercy and compassion. Remember our holy teachers, Jigong Living Buddha and Yue Hui Bodhisattva? Ji means to help and to save. Gong means the general public. And Yue is mercy, Hui is wisdom. They always have to go hand in hand. They both are wonderful, good role models of mercy and compassion. So coming back to Lord Shiva, she has several features. This is the way he looks, okay? He has several features and different representations. Behind these features, there are very profound meanings which we can connect to our Tao cultivation. So now I like to focus on four features. Well, of course, there are a lot of features, well, but due to the time constraint, I can only give an example for four examples. Okay, so let's see how the truth can cross the cultural difference. Okay, number one, a third eye. So when we see Lord Shiva, he always has a third eye on his forehead. It is the wisdom eye. The eye represents his profound wisdom and insight into the universe. Now we have received the Tao. We also have our third eye open by our holy teacher. This is our heavenly gate. The wisdom and insight will help us when we reflect ourselves and contemplate the problem. See into the problem and come up with a good solution. Maybe the position of the gate is still a heavenly secret. So Lord Shiva put his third eye on his forehead, like the position we can only see in some Nepalese stupa, right? That is actually a hint to our heavenly gate. So Shiva's third eye also symbolizes his overwhelming power. According to the legend, Shiva was once distracted by the love god whose name is Kama, all right, Kama, when he was doing his meditation. Well, he then, Lord Shiva, all right, Lord Shiva then opened his third eye in anger and he burned Kama into ashes. Then he scared everybody. Finally, Kama was only able to return to life when Parvati, who is Shiva's wife, came to help out. So, Shiva's third eye has the power to destroy evils. It means Shiva is strongly against injustice and evil, and that is also Tao. As we are Tao practitioners, we are Tao cultivators, we don't need to tolerate evils. If we find injustice or evils, we should stand up against it. Of course, in a wise and harmonious way. As we often sing the song, right? 哪有不平,哪有我. That's the first feature. And the second feature is the vibhuti. The vibhuti are the three lines drawn horizontally across the forehead in white ash. So Shiva applied vibhuti to remind us that at the end of our lives, we will end up as nothing but a handful of ash. So vibhuti is usually applied to receive life as love, to receive life as power, and to receive life as knowledge. As Shiva has a very powerful third eye, vibhuti can be applied to cover it up. So I think the message becomes very clear to us. It reminds us to always be humble and modest. No matter how talented, how intelligent, how successful we are, we must stay in very low profile. Don't make yourself very conspicuous. Don't be arrogant. Don't talk yourself up and put yourself on display. People will envy us and be jealous. Sometimes they will hurt us behind our back. So we should follow Tao, always be nice and polite, be respectful to others, and always be humble. But it doesn't mean that we cannot be happy because of our success. We can still be happy and share with everybody about our success, but just don't show off. Don't be arrogant. Okay, that's number two. And number three, did you see the cobra necklace? Lord Shiva has a cobra around his neck. As we know, snakes are very dangerous. Even a slight mistake in handling a snake, especially cobra, will result in death. So Shiva doesn't care. He even wears a smile on his face. Did you see? So it means Shiva's great power over the most dangerous creatures in the world. It means his great ability to handle the most dangerous situations. So wearing a cobra necklace symbolizes his ability to handle dangers or adversities to his favor. Well, some legends also said that the snake represents Lord Shiva's power of destruction and recreation. Why? Because the snake shed his skin to make way to a new skin, right? 会脱皮. It means his destruction and his recreation power. Aside from that, the cobra around Lord Shiva's neck also symbolizes his ability to control his ego. Well, I personally think that ego is our worst enemy. When someone is proud, they feel confident in themselves. But if they are too proud, it is not a good thing. It means they are having a strong ego. Their confidence has become arrogance. Their self-inflated opinion of themselves will make them feel they are always better than anyone else. They will try to prove that they are always right and that they should be listened to and be respected because they think they are always the best. Then what is the result? They will only become very unapproachable and eventually lose their real friends. They become isolated. They become lonely and pathetic. That's why I think ego is our worst enemy. That is why Shiva's cobra around his neck symbolizes his ability to control it. And he controls it with a smile. This is what we should learn, right? let go of our ego and be open to constructive criticisms. Of course, it's almost impossible to fully destroy our ego, but we can learn to tame it and control it so we can be carefree both physically and mentally, just like our holy teacher, Jigong Living Buddha, right? And the last one I want to share with you is meditative. It's like a meditation, right? Meditative pose. See, he looks very peaceful. As we can often see, many gods are depicted in a very lavish, very beautiful surroundings. But Shiva is only dressed in simple animal skin and in simple settings. I think Lord Shiva was strongly against materialistic happiness. All these material comforts will disappear. They are impermanent. So instead of finding happiness in material things, our most important joy should be with gods and Buddhas in heaven. This kind of joy is forever. Although Lord Shiva is the destroyer, we can see him always smiling and being very tranquil and peaceful, usually in the yoga position. So I think it seems he is always, doing the yoga meditation all the time. I think it reminds us to always stay calm, happy, and wise, focus on what is most important, handle everything, including Tao matters and our worldly affairs, with clarity and wisdom. Well, Lord Shiva still have several features, but due to the constraint, I have to move to the next one. So next, I want to share with you another god. Her name is Makali, or you can say Kalima or Kaliyama. Okay. Well, we used to have an Indian Tao member whose name is Aditya. Now he has finished his work in Taiwan and he moved to Japan for his postdoc research. He's a very spiritual person. Whenever we take a photo, he likes to stick his tongue out. He used to tell me he worshipped Ma Kali and that sticking his tongue out is a major feature of Kali. It was very unusual to me, so I think there must be a very interesting story behind it. So now I'd like to share with you how Makali also helped us on the path of our Tao cultivation. Makali is Kali 女神. She also has received Tao. Okay. So to understand the story behind her outstretched tongue, we need to talk about Ratabage. Ratabage was a demon who used to wreak havoc on earth. He had a special power. If his blood fell onto the ground, every drop would turn into another Ratabage, like Sun Wukong, right? Well, it turned into another one, all right? So goddess Durga, together with Matrikas, fought and wounded him severely. However, the more they made him bleed, the more Ratabage were born. Finally, Durga transformed into Makali, who is regarded as her most ferocious avatar, right? 最凶猛的化身, and appeared in the battlefield. However, whenever Ratabage got injured, his blood fell onto the ground, giving rise to another duplicate. So what could she do? She opened her mouth and covered the earth like an armor. So every drop of the blood of Ratabage that fell on it, she drank with rapture. Soon, Ratabage died. However, Ratabage's blood made Kali mad with anger. She couldn't control herself. She started to kill every creature and to destroy everything. She became very terrible. All the gods and goddesses became very worried. They didn't know how to stop Kali. Finally, they turned to Shiva for help. Then Shiva was Makali's husband. Okay, so Shiva had a good idea. He changed himself into a big piece of wood and lay down on the roadside. So when Makali passed by, she would step on the wood, and she did. Because everything she set foot on would be destroyed, she was curious. Why the ooze still remained the same? So when Makati rechecked it again with her right foot, and at this moment, Shiva changed back into his god form. And at the sight of her husband, Kali was so ashamed that her tongue, her bloodlust had made her fail to recognize her own husband. So she stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. Well, according to Hindu tradition, God is supposed to be there in everyone. So putting your foot on somebody means you are being rude or disrespectful toward God. Therefore, after realizing her mistake, she stick out her tongue in embarrassment. That is very instinctive facial expression, right? After realizing you have made a mistake. So Kali stopped her killing spree. Therefore, the outstretched tongue has become her most characteristic feature. Well, I think this is a very interesting story. But now let's look at some of the ideas how Makali can help us to cultivate Tao. So Kali is commonly translated into she who is black or she who is death. She is goddess of time, doomsday, and death. She symbolizes the destructive and temporary nature of life. So here, Makali wants us to face the grim side of life. Indeed, life is not a bed of roses. Inevitably, we have to face sufferings like death, aging, and many illnesses and diseases. When we encounter a challenge, we must have the courage, we must have the wisdom to face it, accept it, deal with it, and when it is done, let it go. It is absolutely not a good idea to complain or to attach yourself to it. Like Macaulay, who fought with Rotterbeach, the killing made her lose her mind. Only when she came to herself did she understand the mistake she had made. And as soon as she understood her mistake, she turned it into a valuable life lesson. This is something we need to learn. No one is immune to make a mistake. After all, we are humans. But if we simply apologize and carry on as before, we are in danger of repeating the same mistakes. And when we don't learn from our mistakes, we inflict unnecessary stress on ourselves and on others. We risk losing people's respect and trust in us. For this lesson, I think Macaulay has made a very, very good example. Then let's look at Roti Beige. Rakta means uh, blood, and beige means seed. So Rota beige is a demon that has the ability to multiply when his blood oozes and drops to the ground. It means evil begets evil, like virus, right? Also multiply itself. In our dog cultivation, we learn to always say good words, think good thoughts, do good deeds, and be a decent human being. If we think a small deviance is no big deal, then it will multiply to become a big mistake. Because one mistake, no matter how small it is, will result in another and still another to eventually become a big mistake, like a small drop of blood that falls out to the ground, becoming another rocky page. It is like virus. So here, Macaulay stand out to fight against the demon. It means that when we are faced with life challenge, maybe it's our deep-rooted bad habits, or maybe it's a very difficult task to complete, then we should have the courage to face it and to handle it. In the process, we should stay calm and wise. Don't lose yourself. Then let's look at how Macaulay looks. Well, she has the soothing dark complexion, shining like a blue stone, with different skin colors ranging from black to golden. She wears a garland of human skulls and has many hands. In her hands, she holds the head of Rotibage, the trishul, the bloody sword, and so on. She steps on Lord Shiva's body and looks very angry, with her eyes red with intoxication, hair disheveled, and fangs protruding out of her mouth. Most evidently, her tongue sticks out, dripping with blood. Of course, Makali has to look in this scary way because she's the destroyer of evil, the slayer of the demons, like our Lord Buddha Guan Sheng Di Jun, right? He also wields his green dragon crescent blade in a very, very solemn way. I think Makali is reminding us of the harsh consequences of samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth. So everyone has to face the suffering like pain, aging, illnesses, and death. Her dynamic stance signifies the ebb and flow, the alternating cycles of creation and destruction, day and night, birth and death, ups and downs. In this ever-changing world, Makali wants us to search for a sacred shelter with gods and Buddhas. Only they can bestow on us the moksha, which is our liberation. We know females especially like to look beautiful, but why? Why does Makali want to look in this way? Well, I think she wants us to live for eternity, not merely for fleeting enjoyment or outer external, material gains or the superficial beauty. They are only temporary. They will not last forever. Those who seek for eternity will only be absorbed by our Heavenly Mother and brought into her blissful embrace. In spite of her seemingly scary look, Makali is considered the kindest and most loving of all Hindu goddesses. So there is also Kali, who does not stick her tongue out, called Bhadra Kali or the decent Kali, who resides in household shrines and serves as the guardian of the family. So Makali is a wonderful mother figure. She's willing to do everything for her children. I think everyone also has a Makali in our home. That is our mothers. In India, there used to be a saint who always requests his disciples to love their own mothers over him. Why? He said, "My disciples, when you are in trouble, you come running to me. However, do you know who I run to when I'm in trouble? To my mother." So before we pray to Makali, love and respect our mother first. Okay? Okay, so now I want to invite our Indian friends, okay, Saurabh, to make a personal sharing, okay? Saurabh, his Chinese name is Shang Rui, okay? Shang Rui is from India, okay? Now he's a student pursuing his doctorate degree in Taiwan. He attended his Tao seminar, I think last year, right, in August. Then he started to bring his friend to receive Tao and help out a lot in the temple. I think he's a very spiritual person. He was tremendously inspired by Makali. Okay, so now he wants to tell us how Makali has brought him to receive Tao and has been guiding him, on the path of Tao cultivation. So join me in welcoming Saurabh Shangrui.
Yes, thank you, Lecturer Shi. Before I start, can you hear my voice?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Lecturer Shi. Good evening, all my dear Dao brothers and sisters. I'm very happy to make a sharing today. So I'm basically from Assam, India, and I'm currently doing my PhD. I first came to Taiwan in 2018 as a master degree student. Before coming to Taiwan, I went to a Kali Ma, very famous Kali Ma temple in Kolkata, India, for taking her blessings before I started my new journey. And uh, in that visit, in that temple, it is said that the devotees who come there, whatever they wish the goddess Kali will fulfill all the wishes of the devotees. But when I went there, I was so overwhelmed with emotions. And when I just stared at Ma Kali's idol and I did not ask for any wishes. There were only tears in my eyes. I don't know why it happened, but it just happened instantaneously at that moment. And I realized that I was actually seeking for something. Maybe I was seeking for something larger in life at that point. And then when I came to, after that event, after that, I bowed down to Ma Kali, and then I came to Taiwan, and I brought a small picture of Ma Kali with me, which I always keep in my study table in my lab. And every day morning I go to the lab, I just used to bow down to her and start my work. And before I leave, I used to bow down to her just as a sign of gratitude. So this is when I came to Taiwan in 2018, and now fast forward to 2021, in that is last year in February, I lost my grandmother. Uh, she had several illness and old age problems, and she just passed away in February. And because of the COVID restrictions, I could not go back to India and meet her for the last time. This event made a very strong emotional, you know, it made me emotionally broken, because I had several plans for my grandmother, that when I will go back, I will take her to holy pilgrimage and holy shrines. But I could not do that. And all of a sudden, I started asking very tough questions to myself, that what is this life for? If I cannot go back to my loving people in the time of need. I realized that how delicate is our life, and all of us has so little time on this earth. And uh, what for I am studying, what for I am doing all this hard work, this money, this knowledge, what for I am earning, and what is the purpose of my life? So one day I was sitting in the garden of my university, contemplating about all these questions, and suddenly from nowhere, three girls came to me, and I was just shocked. Okay, what? And they were holding some placards on their hand, and it was written that join Chinese Learning Club. So I asked them, what is this Chinese Learning Club about? And they said that we share about the Chinese culture, food, language, Chinese kung fu, and music. So, and above all, they said that we share vegetarian dinners together. We can have vegetarian dinner together. And that fascinated me, because in our custom, when anybody in your family passes away, then we have to follow vegetarian diet for at least 1 month. So that was the time when it was not even 1 month when my grandmother passed away. And I thought, okay, it must be a good place to just lighten my mood and lighten my mind. And I went there. And I liked that place so much, because the people there were all so kind, lovely, and helping people. And every week we used to, I started liking to go there, and every week we used to have different topics about Chinese culture. And one day the topic was Dao De Jing. And very interestingly, the there were several concepts in Dao De Jing which you which was striking me to think about the Indian scriptures, because there are some Indian scriptures which almost talk the same things as the Dao De Jing. And I started telling them that, okay, it's the same. Wow, that's wonderful. That for the first time I started looking at the universality of the cultures, that how different cultures can have the same meanings and same philosophy in different language. And then there was a lecturer, Puti Su, who asked me that if you want to know more about the Chinese culture, then you should receive Dao. And I asked her, what is Dao? And she said that Dao is the way of the universe. and she told me that each one of us has an innate divine true nature. And that word, it struck my mind very hard, because this is what we as a Hindu have been learning since our childhood in our family, that our parents will teach us that you should respect every human being because there is divinity in every one of us. There is God in everything and every human being, every living creature. So that concept, that philosophy, that every one of us has a true nature, it struck my mind, and I accepted to receive Tao. I said that okay, why not? And uh, I received Tao the next day, and then for 1 or 2 weeks, I started to practice the three treasures. But uh, in my mind, I also started having some hesitations that is it that somebody just tried to convert me to a new religion? And it made me feel angry, anxious, and very agitated. And one day I decided to take the picture of Kalima in my table, and I took that picture. I went to lecturer Putisu, and I showed her that, you know what, this is my God, and I don't need any other God. I am happy with my God. She listens to me. She's there. I feel she's there with me always. And she just took the picture of the Kalima, and she said that, oh, this is Kaliyamma. And I was shocked that how can she know the name of Kaliyamma? And she said that, do you know that Kaliyamma has also received Tao? And I was totally shocked. In my mind, it was like the Indian temple bells were ringing. That, oh God, what is this? What is this? And after that, I that word, it stayed with me for a long time. And that day I went back to my room. I came back, and I practiced the three treasures for a long time. I don't remember how long, but maybe it was uh, over an hour when I
Wow.
was using it. And I was trying to use the three treasures again and again and again. And slowly I realized that I'm going into a state of peace, of absolute nothing. And my mind was getting slowly peaceful. And then I, at a moment, and I was asking all those questions to Kalima, that are you really there with me? Are is it you that who have guided me to receive Tao? Because that's what lecturer Putisu said to me, that maybe because you worship Kaliyama, she has guided you to receive Tao. So I was asking these questions to Kaliyama, and when I went into a state of peace, in that moment, I found a light and the moment I accepted that, yes, Kaliyama is there with me, and she has guided me to receive Tao. That was the moment when I saw a light, and it was a bright light. And after that, there was only peace. There was only peace. My heart was peaceful. Tears were dripping from my eyes, and I was just speechless. And from that day onwards, I accepted that yes, I should know more about what is Dao, and I started coming to the Shinmin Dao class every week and started learning more about Dao. And I was fascinated to see the similarities between the Chinese philosophy, and I started reading more about the Indian philosophy and how there are many things common in the truth, in the underlying truth that is being spoken in those ancient scriptures. So this is one story about me, and then I'd also like to share another story. After I received Tao, and after I realized the truth about the Tao, that the Tao is true and the heavenly decree is true, I accepted this truth. And after that, I started my flatmate, my very old friend Ajit. I asked him to receive Tao, and initially he hesitated, of course, but he said that he actually watched me change a lot after receiving Tao. And then he accepted that, yes, I should also receive Tao. And my friend, he's actually senior to me. His name is Ajit, and right now he came to Taiwan 1 year before me, and he was my senior, and he already graduated last year, and he was practicing as a lecturer and assistant professor in our university. And this year, in the month of April, we celebrate a 9 day Navaratri. Navaratri is the 9 days of worshiping the goddess, the god in the female form. Uh, that is the goddess Durga and all her different forms. And in those 9 days, the seventh day is the day of the worship of Ma Kali. And on that day, my friend Ajit, he received a job offer from India, from the Indian Institute of Technology. It is the most premier Indian university and the most prestigious Indian university to get a job offer from. And that day when he received the job offer, he said me that, do you know, Saurav, that when I came to Taiwan, just 1 day before coming to Taiwan, I went to Kali Amma temple and bowed down to Mount Ma Kali for my future journey. And I was so surprised, and I felt I was filled with gratitude for Ma Kali, that she actually fulfilled his wishes to become successful in life, and she gave him such a beautiful gift for his career. And I said him that, you know, when you go back to India, the first thing you should do is go to Ma Kali temple and bow down to her, and show your gratitude towards her. So days passed, and in this month, in August, in I think on 8th of August, he went back to India, and uh, he actually forgot about going to Ma Kali temple and showing his gratitude towards her. And even I forgot to remind him to go to Kali Amma temple. But you know what? A very interesting thing happened, that when the day he landed in New Delhi, for certain circumstances, he had to go to meet his brother-in-law's office. And there in the evening, they had a chit chat, and they said that, okay, let's go out for a walk in the garden. So they just Google search and found a nearby garden, and they went in that garden. And that garden is called Nehru Garden in New Delhi. If you just Google search it, you will see that it's a huge garden. It's a very big area. And they were just walking in that garden, and it was evening time, and the evening prayers were happening in a nearby temple. And they just heard the temple bells, and they said that, okay, it seems there is a temple nearby, why not just go there and just bow down, just participate in the evening prayers. And they went to the temple, and when Ajit, he entered the temple, he was thinking that it may be Shiva temple, or Vishnu temple, or some other temple, Ganesha temple. But he was so shocked to see that it was a Kali Amma temple, and there was a huge life-size image idol of Kali Amma in that temple. And when he saw it, his he had goosebumps all over his hand, and because it was the evening prayers time, so there were bells ringing, and the arti, the song was sung by the temple priest. And that time he sat down in front of Kali Amma, and he bowed, and he said thank you for everything that she did for him, and to always be by his side. So this was a very fascinating story for me also. It made my faith more stronger in Kali Amma and in Dao cultivation, because we know that Kali Amma is also a Dao member, just like us, because she also received Dao. And just like we help each other, we help all the Dao members when we go to Dao seminars, we do surveys. Even when we go abroad, or goes up anywhere, the Dao members will help us. And just like that, even Kali Amma, being a Holy Spirit and being a Dao member at the same time, she also helps us, helps her, helps her devotees whom she loves the most, and she helps them to cultivate Dao and to follow the path of the truth. So that that's all for my sharing, and I beg pardon for all my mistakes if I made. I beg gods and Buddhas for their mercy and forgiveness. And my dear Dao brothers and sisters, please give me some comments and suggestions if you like. Thank you very much for listening to me.